Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Please find yourself some coffee and some pastries or bagels from Panera over there, and sign in. There are a couple of sheets for you to pick up to have, and in just a minute we're going to get started. So glad you're here, and also for all those online, we are so glad you're joining us virtually. Thank you so much for coming out in this rainy morning, which shouldn't deter us, but sometimes it does. I lived in England for many years, so it doesn't deter me. But it is wonderful to see you here. We had 130 people sign up for this day today. Some may come a little bit later. You are all here first thing, and also our friends virtually. So we are just so glad to be here to talk about this important bill and to advocate for it. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the host of our wonderful space, and to have her share a few words for us, Reverend Deborah Williams.
I just want to share our welcome to you into our space, into this sanctuary, in this beautiful church. So my name, as was said, is Deborah, Pastor Deborah, and just a couple of things. You've already seen the bathrooms. They're right there if you need to use them. And then in a little while when we head out, if you'll take your things with you, that's helpful. If you have any issues with that, let me know. Also, we have a few of our members here. So if you have any questions about the building or your time in here, if I can have members raise their hands so you know who to... There they are. So if you need anything, you can ask me or ask them. And if there's any extra time and you want to stick your head in the sanctuary, please do so. It's a beautiful historic building, and we would love to share it with you. It is just an honor for us to get to use this space that we have been so beautifully given to steward with you. and what is happening here, and the moments that we have to step into places of mercy and courage and justice. So we are just honored to get to be able to be a part of this. We are honored to get to see all your lovely and beautiful faces on this rainy Atlanta morning, and we are just so thrilled to be able to be here with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deborah. And the church has allowed us to be here today, and we are just so grateful, opening their doors, setting up the chairs, making sure everything's ready for us. So really appreciate it. For those of you who maybe arrived a little bit late, please help yourself to coffee, tea, food at any time. It's available to you. So why are we here? Why are we here? We are here because people with intellectual disabilities are still death sentenced and executed in Georgia. And we want to stop that. That's the main reason we're here. And I'm going to share more about that this morning. But I'd first like to introduce and have come up to the stage a group of people who have been with me in the planning stages all along. We had on October 10th, World Day Against the Death Penalty, we had a multi-faith gathering. And I reached out to the folks after that and said, hey, one of the first action steps you could take is to join me to help plan our day at the Capitol. So we've largely been meeting weekly since beginning of November to get here to today. So I'd love each of them to come up here and just share their name and the organization they belong to. I first want to say that one of our planning committee members is virtual. Can they use this though? Okay, thank you.
They can use that.
They can use this, so just like this, okay.
Sorry, we're going to get that.
Come on up. And if you want to stand right there so they can see you.
Everyone's about to get one of these, that's why I'm holding them. Hi, I'm Jana Hoffacker. I'm the Director of Restorative Justice Ministry for the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Atlanta, and I'm the Chair of Georgia Catholics Against the Death Penalty.
Good morning, I'm Colin Larson. I'm a volunteer with Catholic Mobilizing Network.
I'm Reverend Cassie Rapko. I'm the pastor at St. Paul United Methodist Church, but I serve as the representative for the General Board of Church and Society for the United Methodist Church. It's good to be here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Wesley Myrick. I'm the Executive Director of the Georgia Interfaith Public Policy Center. Thank you for having us.
So much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bobby Paul, and I represent the Mission Committee at Central Presbyterian Church, and also I'm glad to serve on the board of GFADP with Kathy. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Jones. I'm Minister Emeritus of the Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Marietta, and now I am a community minister, and I stand on squares and hold good signs and make good trouble.
Thank you. And we also have had some other members, but I'm sure they're going to join throughout the day. Joya Aaron Thornton, who is the founder and director of the Faith Leaders of Color Coalition. Who did I forget? Anyone else? As I remember it, it'll come up. So, all right, I'd like everyone to, if you don't have it yet, please bring out this form, and we can pass them out if you don't have them. It's called Ring Around the Capitol, GFADP and Partners, My Schedule. All right, I wanted to make this as easy as possible today for those of you who this may be your first time. If this is your first time advocating, coming to the Capitol, talking to legislators, would you just raise your hand? Woohoo! All right, give everybody that just raised their hand a round of applause, please. This is a very important moment, I believe, in everyone's life. It should be on people's bucket lists. To meet with your legislators is one of the most empowering things you can do, because these are the people that you have voted for. And to know who they are, to put their voice and face to a name is just a powerful thing. And I hope it will be something that will get in your blood and you want to keep doing, because it is so important. And as I have heard numerous times from legislators, they so rarely hear from their constituents. And so when they do hear from you, they pay attention. Our day today is called Ring Around the Capitol, and there's a reason for that. Hello, gorgeous. For those of you online, we have a beautiful little puppy with us today. We welcome all here. It's called Ring Around the Capitol because of three separate things. We are gonna, for especially our friends at home or wherever you're watching us, we're going to ring our legislators. The power of that is when you call their phone, their work phone at either the Capitol building or the Coverdale building where their office is, a staffer will answer the phone and they log your call and why you're calling. You could be nervous, but I'm telling you, it is an empowering thing to do. So we're going to ring the Capitol, and I invite everyone here today, too, that if for some reason you're not able to see your senator, your Georgia state senator, or your Georgia representative for whatever reason, we want you to still ring their offices. And it can be as simple as this. Hello, I am Kathy Harmon Christian, and I am the constituent for Senator Reverend Kim Jackson, true, and I am calling because people with intellectual disabilities are still being death sentenced and executed in Georgia, and I would really like you to support House Bill 123. Would you do that for me? And that's all you have to say. That's it. And then your legislator, the staffer for the legislator will note that down and say, thank you very much for calling. And you'll say, thank you very much. And that's it. As simple as that, friends. So we encourage you to do that. And they notice. They really notice when the phones start ringing. And they start asking each other, why is your phone ringing? What's going on? Because they get so few phone calls. Truly. So that's one aspect of the ringing. The second is, and I really hope you'll stay through the press conference, it's going to be a very powerful moment. After the press conference is over, I will invite everyone to join in a circle to make a ring in the South Steps area. And at that point in time, we're going to have a few words from some of our faith leaders, as, good morning, Amjali, our faith leaders, as well as a moment of silence, to be able to mark in reverence those who have intellectual disabilities, who have been sentenced to death, and who have been executed in Georgia. To just give that moment of reflection for those lives lost, or those lives who have been unfortunately death sentenced when they are intellectually disabled. So that's our second ring. And then the third one is, which will happen at 2 p.m., when most of you might be leaving to head out to your homes. This church here, the Catholic Shrine of the Immaculate Conception, and Central Presbyterian will all be ringing their bells at 2 o'clock. It's a powerful sign, y'all. So welcome to the Ring Around the Capitol today. All right, I would like to go through our schedule. And so we are here, and there will be time for you to talk and intermingle. I just wanted to be able to go through a few items so you feel confident and ready to head to the Capitol. We're here, we're going to do some background on the bill, and then at 9:30, we're going to make our way over to the Capitol. It takes a little time. You need your IDs, so make sure you have your IDs. I don't know if there'll be a line going into the Capitol this morning. Sometimes there is, sometimes there not, but you have to show your ID and you have to go through security. At that point, you can either walk or take the elevator up to the 4th floor in the Capitol building, up to the 4th floor. And we'll be kind of moving together en masse, so have a buddy and go together. And we go up to the gallery, and there'll be people there. There'll be folks at the door, folks inside. They will hand you a card. So this is the Senate gallery, by the way, the Senate gallery. And they will hand you a card with don't photograph and don't video while you're here. You need to I think you're not supposed to talk, other things. So make sure you read those cards and then find a seat. We may not be able to sit together, but that's fine. And so then they will shut the doors. So for you to know that they will shut the doors somewhere between 10 and 10:15, and you can't get in or out at that point. And we are so blessed today. We are going to the gallery so that we can hear United Methodist Bishop Robin Deese address the Senate this morning. Bishop Deese, would you like to? I know, Mama. That's right, Mama. Bishop Deese, would you like to come up here and be recognized and maybe say a few words? We are just so glad to have you, and this is just a wonderful thing, having her be chaplain of the day. It is. It's so
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Pastor, and the Trinity congregation for having us here. I am grateful. This is my first time being at the Capitol for any reason since being the bishop of the North Georgia area. And believe me, this is not the first, it's the first time in Georgia, because I believe in doing justice and loving mercy and walking humbly with thy God, and also being an advocate for the least of these. So when I met this wonderful person over a year ago through David Grady, I have just been certainly supportive of the work, and I know Joya, of course, as well. So, this is the work that's important to me. Justice work is important. Justice work must be done. And there right now is a person in the White House who is now attacking Christians and churches and mainline denominations. And friends, I just want to say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, and tell others not to be afraid, that this is a test of our faith. And so we're going to have to be vigilant, and we're going to have to be strong, and we're going to have to say things that maybe people will not like. But we know who our leader truly is, and that is God Almighty. And God will give us everything that we need in order to please God and to serve the least of these. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm a person of very few words, but thank you all for what you mean to this work and the churches that are represented. And I just ask that you pray for us, the United Methodist Church, and we will pray for our ecumenical brothers and sisters as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So we are going to get to go to the Senate gallery and hear Bishop Deese as chaplain of the day today. And if you haven't been to a floor session, it's fascinating, right? And all the senators will be there. You'll see a board where they'll have green lights and other lights that will show you exactly who's there. I'm not sure who's presiding over the Senate today, but usually it's Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, but we'll see who it is today. And then at that point, at some point, they're going to acknowledge us in the gallery. And Bobby Paul here is passing out buttons and a purple bandana and a sticker. And at the point that we're recognized, we stand up with decorum no shouting and hooting, even though we might feel like it. We stand up and we can just wave our purple bandana as a unit. Yes, yes.
Does anyone need one? If you haven't received, we'll bring them. You have your choice of color. And the buttons do spin around happy.
Yes, yes. So the buttons are purple. You see a theme here. GFADP colors tend to be purple. We're moving to green too, but that's a color that a lot of people have, so green for life. But we're going with purple, so we will be recognized by the buttons that we have and the stickers that we have.
Would you like to, and if people want more, we have 300. So if you'd like to have some and pass out to legislators or supporters.
Yes, you're very welcome to do that, to pass out the stickers, take a few more if you like, and pass them out when you see your legislator. Great. Thank you, Bobby. Perfect. So after we are recognized up in the gallery, then we are able to leave. And I would suggest that everyone leaves at that point, because I have been up in the gallery and waited till the end, and then all the senators are gone, and you won't be able to meet them at the ropes. So what we're going to do, and I'll pause in just a minute for any questions that people have at this point, but we move from the gallery, the 4th floor, we leave quietly from the gallery, and then we go down to the 3rd floor, 1 floor down. On the 3rd floor, on one side are the ropes for the Senate. So if you're in the gallery, it's just right below it. And they're the ropes, and they literally are a red, like velour-y movie theater line, okay? And then on the other side is the House ropes. Each of the sides have a little form. It's a half-sheet form, and here, I'll show that. All right, and there's plenty of them there, and you can also grab one now in a minute. And this one is for the House, a blue for the House. And on this form, you're going to write your representative's name, the date, the time, and then you're going to put your name, your phone number, your affiliation, and whether you're a constituent. That is really key. If you're not a constituent, sometimes the legislators aren't going to come and see you. So you need to put, I'm a constituent, yes, as well as your full home address, and your email. And then you tick the box that says meet at the ropes and a message. I would like you to support HB 123. Simple as that, okay? How many of you have worked the ropes before? Fabulous. Okay, y'all, this is great. Yes? Yes, so Paul is saying fill this out before you go, and we'll have time. You're going to be able to pick one up and fill it out. But if we run out of these forms, or if you lose it for some reason, there are plenty of forms there. And what happens is you take this form then, and those of you who've done this, help each other out. Because there may be a lot of people there today, there may not. We just don't know. You take it to a desk, you give it to the person at the desk, and then they have a page who runs in, maybe not run, walk quickly. They go into the floor, and they go up to the legislator you've requested, and they say, tap, tap, tap. Your constituents outside, they want to meet with you. And then if they can pause in that particular moment, they will leave the floor session, and they will come out and meet you on the ropes. Okay, what I'd love you to do, the goal would be to meet your House person and your Senate person. So you go to one side, and then you go to the other. Your blood will be pumping once you do this. I'm just telling you, it's very thrilling. It's thrilling, okay? Don't take too much of their time. Be respectful and only take a couple minutes. They've got business to get back to, okay? But take a few minutes. And after you talk to them, give them this. This is our fancy schmancy one-pager, two-sided. It has the logos of people who are supporting us, who have signed on to supporting this bill. We got some nice group of logos there, friends. Read through and see who has signed on to this to support this bill. And then this is what you're going to share with them, to take with them, to keep. So you want to take 2 of these today, one for your representative, one for your senator. All right, I want to pause for a minute. Please ask me any questions you've got. Yes, so there may be, that's right, there may be a line at the desk for turning in your blue sheet. So there may be lines everywhere, friends, so be patient. Yes. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so I'm just going through the schedule of the day. All right. Any other questions? Yes. Hello, Bill. You can leave it here, but if we're walking to the Capitol, you might need it. Yeah. No, you just have to take it with you. I know. Sorry, friends. Yes, Ann Stewart. Okay, thank you for that question. So when the bells ring at 2 o'clock, we decided we wanted to have enough that catches people's attention, and 34 is the number of people currently on death row in Georgia. So we went with that number. Each church is going to ring 34 times, so pause, reflect on that as you go about the rest of your day. Yes. Absolutely. You can take your umbrella, but don't forget it. I have a special umbrella, literally, that I had made in England. I didn't bring it with me because I'm so afraid that I'll lose it. So, so bring it, but you never know. It may not rain as we're moving between. We'll see. So he's asking a wonderful question. Of the 34, have they identified people who have intellectual disability of those 34? Yes and no. The reason why we're here, and so maybe, how about this? Let me finish the schedule, and then I'm going to go straight into all the information about the bill that I'd really love you to have. After we do the time at the ropes, we leave the Capitol, and we walk across the street to the Coverdale building. It is the street that doesn't have cars. And you should be able to, how many people have been to the Coverdale building? Great. Be with people who've done it. You go across and there's another line, another show your ID, another security. Then you go up to the 3rd floor, either walking or taking the elevator, and lunch, a boxed lunch from Jason's Deli, and some water will be available in room 310 in the Coverdale building. 310. There is vegetarian options. I think there's some gluten-free options. We've tried to cover the bases. Jeff.
The schedule of the day, there may be a stack of them floating around. I want to get to that. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So if everyone has the schedule of the day. I believe you can take the water bottle. I think you can. Yep. Thank you. See, we share our knowledge. We share our knowledge. Only water, though, that's right. We are privileged to be sharing our lunch space with the Georgia Council of Developmental Disabilities. I did not mention this earlier, and it's a tremendous oversight, that the Georgia Council on Developmental Disabilities and New Disabled South are leading this initiative today with us. Because this is about disabled people, this bill. And they realize how important it is. So we are going to be having lunch with some of the folks. They're also here for a day at the Capitol, so we're hopefully going to overlap. We have an overflow room, which is 307. So you can pick up your lunch and go to 307 if 310 is crowded. You can also head back to the Capitol. You can go anywhere you want. So you're free to go where you want to go. But at 1 o'clock, and actually 5 to 1, or even 10 to 1, please go back to the Capitol. Y'all are getting your steps in. Please go back to the Capitol for our press conference. This is really important. We have invited quite a few media outlets. We put out a press release. We don't know who will show up, but we want them to see us lining the stairs behind the folks who are going to be speaking today at the press conference. The press conference will take roughly 20 minutes to a half hour at most. It goes fast. And then there's some questions. And we'd like you to line up behind the podium, so you may or may not be able to hear really well. It all depends. Sorry for that, but say prayers that the bill will get passed if you can't hear as you're meditating there. But so we line up on the steps. There is a red line on the steps that you can't go side to side on the steps. You have to leave room for people to walk up and down, just so you know. After the press conference, then that's when I'm going to invite everybody into a circle for our time of multi-faith prayer, silence, and reflection for those who with intellectual disabilities who have been sentenced to death and executed in Georgia. And then the bells will ring at 2. Okay, any questions on the schedule? If you have them, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help. And I'm sure many people are here too. Before we move on, I do want to introduce a person who's traveled from DC to be here with us in solidarity. And that is M. Jolie Mendoza Waters with Catholic Mobilizing Network. And we are so glad to have her here today. Yay, wave M. Jolie. And we're also expecting Herman Lindsay, who is a death row exoneree. He's been traveling up from Florida to be here with us today. So please, feel free to talk to him. We hope to bring him, he's moving to Georgia. So we're hoping to do quite a few programs where he can share his story as an innocent man who was wrongly convicted and was able to get off death row. Okay. Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to go back and we'll talk about the bill. In the meantime, if you do not know who your Georgia legislators, I'm going to pass these around, and there's some more. This will help you to find out who your legislator is. If someone's having trouble, help each other out. We welcome you all. And I wanted to introduce a very special person who has worked with me from the beginning and with whom I am so grateful to have her wisdom and insight in partnership. So I would like to introduce Joya Aaron Thornton, who is one of my closest partners in this work. Joya.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to do a little activity. You know I always do. Just to warm us up for today. If you're a Vacation Bible School kids, you will understand this activity, right? If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your smile will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. All right. So thank you so much, Kathy, and thank you to all of you for being here and giving of your time. We truly appreciate that. I am the founder and the executive director of a group called the Faith Leaders of Color Coalition, or FLOC. And FLOC is a group of Black and Indigenous pastors who engage in conversation around state-sanctioned death or the death penalty. We ask questions. We're nonpartisan. So we have pastors that are involved with us who lean right, who lean left, who kind of rest in the middle, and some who are apolitical. We are truly happy that you guys are here because it really sends a message that individuals with intellectual disabilities, they think differently from us. They make different decisions. This is a civil and human rights issue. So right now, no matter where you are on the death penalty spectrum, we thank you for standing for this. We thank you for standing with them. A lot of us know people with intellectual disabilities. I am from Memphis, Tennessee. So do I have Memphis in the house? Okay. I am from Memphis, Tennessee. So back in 2021, I was a part of a landmark decision in Memphis where there was a case, an individual by the name of Purvis Payne. He's a Black man who lives with intellectual disabilities in Memphis. And so what had happened is a crime was committed. He was implicated in the crime, and the DNA, we had the Innocence Project as our partner, the DNA showed that he did not commit that crime. But because we had ran out of options in the court, the next thing was to enter into the legislature. So what happened was he was an individual that lived with intellectual disabilities, but at the time, in the 1990s, the DSM book did not reflect it. So the points had changed from the 90s to the 2020s that he now qualified as an individual with intellectual disabilities. So we were able to change the law in Tennessee for folks with intellectual disabilities. We can do the same thing in Georgia, okay? So thank you so much, Kathy, and I'm excited about the day.
Awesome, thank you. So that's exactly it. We are going to change the law in Georgia. So I want to give you a background on the bill HB 123, HB 123, HB 123, so you don't forget it. It's a great number. We're very lucky to be given that number. In 1986, a man named Jerome Bowden had intellectual disabilities and was executed. And the story of his life and who he was, and the fact that we electrocuted him, had such an outcry that the Georgia legislators, we, Georgia, were the first mover to create a law to protect people with intellectual disabilities from the death penalty. This is really important for you to remember, that we were the first movers. However, the law was not written well, and we still live with that law, which is what we're trying to change today. So what's happened is Georgia went from being the first mover, and stick with me on this, this is hard to sometimes get your head around, but we set the standard for a person with intellectual disability to prove they had intellectual disability at beyond a reasonable doubt. Think about that. Don't we all have just this much doubt about something? And particularly if you have intellectual disabilities. And what that means is, one part of it is IQ. Just one part though. And those tests, you know, they can vary, right? So experts can say, well, no, they don't really have that IQ. I'll give a different test and it's going to show differently. The person has to also have shown developmental disabilities prior to the age of 18. And they have certain adaptive behaviors, like they can be easily led, they can make false confessions to police and to other people because they may want to please. Think about a person in your life that you may have known or know now who has intellectual disabilities, and think at the myriad of behaviors. Okay, so let's go back to the law in Georgia. So we set the standard at beyond a reasonable doubt. Since 1988, all other states with death penalty law set a different standard. Clear and convincing, or a preponderance of the evidence. Why does that matter? It matters a lot. It matters a lot. And also, the process of determining intellectual disability was not done at the sentencing phase. What happens is if a jury is trying to make a decision on intellectual disability, and they are primed with all the details of a crime, and they also are selected for juries, often people like maybe you and me, who do not want the death penalty in any case, we won't serve on trials, on juries. So remember, the jury is not a community of peers. It has been selected to skew in a certain way often. So, I know this is a lot to take in. You don't have to know everything. A lot of this is right here for y'all. But what this has meant is then the law in Georgia means that nobody with intellectual disabilities has been able to prove that they're intellectually disabled. You may know that there's been several articles that have come out in the last week. 2 on the front page of the AJC, 1 on the front page of the Georgia Recorder. I want to ask you, as a Georgian, are you proud to be from a state that is the 50th of the 50th in protecting people with intellectual disabilities from death sentencing and execution? I'm not either. I went to see the Speaker of the House a year and a half ago, and he's not either. He picked up the phone and said to Republican Bill Werkheiser, I want you to sponsor a bill to change this. We have a good chance of passing this, y'all. 90% of bills don't pass. There are 2,000 bills that go in front of the legislature each year, only 200 pass, so only 10% pass, right? But this bill has a chance of passing. So we are part of a winnable thing, which is so exciting and so necessary, right? I want to tell you the pushback because it's really important that you understand what the pushback is. The pushback is that this ends the death penalty in Georgia. It does not. I want you to be very clear with this. This is not a death penalty abolition bill. This is a bill that is about doing the right thing for people with intellectual disabilities. Georgia is a leader in secondary education, for people with intellectual disabilities. We care about people with intellectual disabilities, but prosecutors in general don't like to change the way they've been doing things and DAs don't either. And there's reasons for that, right? But that doesn't mean our legislators can't change the law. So I want to share with you, we have Senator Bill Werkheiser. He has visited every prison in Georgia. He cares about this issue. He is a caring, thoughtful person, and he will be there at the press conference today to share about this bill and why it's important to him. I've also invited all the co-sponsors. We have a rockin' group of co-sponsors. We have the chair and the vice chair of Judiciary Non-Civil, which is Tyler Paul Smith and Deborah Silcox. We have Stan Gunter, a former judge and prosecutor. We have Rob Leverett. We have Matt Reeves, and Scott Holcomb. They have signed on to this because they really believe it. And we also have a lot of other support in the House and in the Senate. So this is an exciting time, y'all, and you're part of this. So the bill itself, any questions on any part of it, I may or may not be able to answer it, because if it goes too much into the weeds, I don't think we'll go there. But we can talk about it at other times. Yes? So Scott Holcomb is my House representative. Great. And he's the co-sponsor. Scott Holcomb is the co-sponsor. His time out of the House proceedings for me to want to do it. Wonderful question. Is it worth her time going to the ropes? I'm sorry, you're right. Is it worth Representative Holcomb's time if she goes to the ropes and pulls him? Yes, because you want to thank him. You want to say, I am your constituent, and I am so glad to see you are a co-signer on HB 123. HB 123. Okay? But then leave it at that and move on. Great question. Yes? The prosecutor argued at the last hearing. Yep. So the prosecutor made a couple of arguments. One was that he said that there has never been a person with ID executed in Georgia, and that is not true. It is false. It is false. He also said it was going to open the door, that this is ending the death penalty. That is not true. Two false things that have happened already. The process for determining ID for the trial and for the guilt, the sentencing phase, is currently being worked out behind the scenes as we know it. It is the prosecutor's view that they want to have it a certain way, and they will say certain things like that. It has to be interrogated. There is different stages in a criminal trial before a jury or before a judge. They want to keep it before a jury. We would like to have it before a judge, as well as with expert witnesses. But things are happening behind the scenes, and I will share more as I know it. If the judge decides the issue, and does the defendant have a chance to then appeal that decision? That's what's currently being worked out. That's what's currently, they're trying to decide on what the process will be, because, and we're trying to come to some kind of collaboration on that so that the prosecutors can support the change in process. Not just, everybody now agrees, they're including the prosecutors, that we need to have a change in the burden of proof to preponderance of the evidence. So we've got a win on that already. The tricky part that's still being negotiated is exactly what the process for determining ID will look like, separate from sentencing. Joy wants to say. Yeah.
And I just want to add too, and Kathy covered it, What the prosecutors are trying to do is to bully everyone into thinking that if this bill passes, then it will open up the floodgates for everyone to prove that they have intellectual disabilities, which was formerly mental retardation if folks don't quite understand that definition, and that is untrue. There are several markers that an individual, that a defense attorney has to prove that their client has been living with intellectual disabilities before they can actually make that appeal before a judge. So that's what's happening. The prosecutors are just trying to say, if this bill passes, everybody's gonna have intellectual disabilities. And we need to make sure that our talking points and our uniform messaging shows that that is incorrect and that's not true.
Thank you, Joya. Very good point, important point. And the two AJC articles have come out sharing specifically people with ID who have been sentenced to death in Georgia. So they're already showing and refuting that statement that was said that no one with ID has ever been death sentenced or executed in Georgia. Yes, back there.
So last year, we supported this, and I thought it came out of committee, but apparently it didn't.
So what happened last year, for those of you who have been here again, and thank you for coming back, is last year it was HB 1014. And what happened is the prosecutors really came on strong last year. So Chairman Wertheiser, being the person he is, he likes to work out things, right? He likes to work out things. So he decided, okay, and it was a surprise because they said something different outside of the committee meeting, okay? And those of you who are here, you heard the jubilation that we thought the bill was going to pass if they'd agreed to it. Well, they changed their tune at the last minute, which was really troubling. So Chairman Wertheiser, the better part of valor, tabled the bill and said, okay, let's work with the prosecuting attorney counsel over this past year. Y'all, a lot of work happens outside of session, just so you know. Please make sure you meet your legislators outside of this session. When they're so busy. So the status now is we've had one hearing last week, but it was abbreviated. We're expecting another hearing this week in judiciary non-civil, and more testimony from us, not from the prosecutors as much. They have made their case already. And also behind the scenes, so the last year we have asked the prosecutors, what do you want, rather than just saying no to everything, and they have not been willing to share that. So what happened is one of the judiciary non-civil members, who's also one of the co-sponsors, was tasked with directly saying, we need this from you now. And that's what's happening. And then once the prosecutors, if they do provide that information, there may be some adjustments to the bill before it goes to the vote. Does that make clear? So I will be sending out, if you have not joined GFADP, please do, because I send out action alerts. And what happens is these committee hearings can happen with less than 24 hours. Less than 24 hours. That's just how they roll. And we love to have people in the room to show that there are people who care. You're not there to testify. You're just there to be there, and especially if you are clergy and you wear your clerical attire, like I see some of our friends here today, that has an impact. That has an impact. Okay. Yes, Dave.
If I remember from last year, it's only 2 or 3 counties that sued that bill. So should
Yeah.
we focus on the representatives from those areas?
That's what we're going to do when we go to the abolition bill. But right now, we're not. So the messaging today needs to be, Georgia's an outlier. We need to stop death sentencing and executing people with intellectual disabilities, and HB 123 will correct that problem. This is not an abolition bill. I know many of you really care about abolition. I do too. But I also care about people with ID, people who are intellectually disabled. I care about them. I am a member of a family with multiple disabilities. This is personal, as well as the work I do. But don't go there. Don't go to abolition. That's just going to set a firecracker somewhere. We're not there, yeah. This is purely about being in solidarity with our neighbors who are intellectually disabled. We should not be doing this, y'all. And Georgia is the outlier. Yes. It's okay. Yes, you can request other legislators if you just want to say hello, but if you're not if you're not a constituent, they may not have time for you. It'll just depend. So I don't know how busy it is over there today with committee meetings and other things. I do know that some of the co-sponsors can't be there. They wanted to be at the press conference, but they have committee meetings, so they can't be there. It is a movable feast, right? So be patient, be happy, and enjoy this day of empowerment. I do want to mention that in the room, we've got 3 bishops, y'all. I mean, when does that happen? This is powerful. I would really love our 3 bishops to come up here and say just a quick word, and then they will be saying something at the press conference. So the lineup at the press conference is, I'll say very brief words, introduce the speaker, introduce Chairman Werkheiser, and any legislators go first, y'all. They go first. Then the disability community, because this is who this bill is about. So the Georgia Council on Developmental Disabilities and New Disabled South will be represented. Then we got our 3 bishops, and then I think we run out of time because those press conferences are short, all right? But I'd love to have each of the bishops come up here for just a second so people can see you and know who you are and what you represent and that you took time out of your day, which I am sure you have a lot to do. I mean, we all did that, right? But to have a bishop is also fun, right? It's fun, y'all. They got their collars on. Come on. All right. Would you mind coming up? What?
I spoke already, so I'll just take a picture.
Let's let him speak next.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you all for being here. Bishop Ned Schlesinger, I'm an auxiliary bishop, not the Archbishop of the Roman Catholic Church of Atlanta, but auxiliary bishop here in Atlanta. I'm one of the 3 auxiliaries, and I was here last year, and I just think it's such an important thing that we speak for those with intellectual disabilities. And I'm not focusing on the death penalty because I'm against that as well, but anyway, it's good to be here, and thank you for your voices. Bishop Wright.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rob Wright. I'm the Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Atlanta, which is the Episcopal Church in Middle and North Georgia. So glad to be here with my colleagues and with you to bear witness to the dignity of every human being. It's what we're doing. We're bearing witness. And so just glad to join in and glad for the very clear marching orders about how we get to where we ultimately want to go one step at a time. So well done, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I want to say that these 3 bishops are not just here for the morning. They're in this. They're in it. They have been in it since I started this. They come and they show up and they represent. So we are very grateful for their support and their solidarity and leadership. Really appreciate that. Okay, any last questions? And then we're going to start heading over to the 4th floor Senate Gallery. If everybody please make sure you have one of these, which has your schedule and a template for speaking at the ropes. You don't have to use this. It's way too much. Just you can be simple. And also make sure you take 2 of these. Yes, you can. All right, I'll see you at the Senate Gallery.